Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A CloudFoundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Now what we are going to do, we are going to start with another two grant types, that is the client credentials grant type and then the raw PC method. Now here, what is the client credentials grant type means? Here all the three grant types, whatever we discussed in the last call, that is related to the user authentication, actually right. Normally the request will come and then the authentication will happen, the adapter and then the policy selectors will get triggered. Normally, actually, right. And then after successful authentication, the authorization code will get generated or token will get generated, right? But here these two grant types is totally different from whatever we have seen it till now. Actually, because there are certain cases are, for example, let's say they will be using the authentication code grant type. The application can able to use the authentication code grant type for the authentication. But after authenticating to the application, right? If there's some application, they may ask, they may have some kind of API to call another application from inside one application actually. If they want to call another application, they need to do the authentication again. But if they want to do the authentication again, right, that means there will be a problem. They need to do the first call again, the username and password, and then as well as the code will get generated and then the access token will get generated, right? The same process will get repeat again actually. But instead of that, repeating from the starting, right, what we can do? We can able to have another call. For example, let's say instead of using the authentication code grant type, there will be another call to testee to have that, client credentials grant type. We don't need the authentication for that because the authentication has happened already. Why we need to call that authentication code grant type again and again and again, right? It will become an issue act. It will the API call, only it will get increased. Instead, they can call one API endpoint and then automatically the token will get generated. Actually, that is known as the client credentials. Client credentials granted. The authentication of a user. It won't be there. Instead, simply, they will be doing the machine to machine authentication or API to API or like a server to server authentication. Actually, for example, write the weather application in a real time. Actually, what we can say, do you know the weather application, right? You are accessing the weather application in your mobile phone, right? Whether that weather application is asking any kind of authentication actually. No, right? Here, it is not asking any username and password to access it, right? Because since it is just using some kind of a machine-to-machine authentication, it is authenticating your mobile phone, not your as a user. Actually, similarly, it is not authenticating as a user. It is going to authenticating your application which you are accessing it or machine you are accessing which you are accessing it actually. For example, the another API which the application they try to call after successful authentication, right? They may try to have a they may try to add a another. A PI means they just need a token only to allow the user to log in into the application. Actually, right? In that case, right? We don't need the full access. Token should be generated actually. Just a normal kind of a token. It's enough actually. That token can be generated by using the a client credentials grant type. Actually, from one application, they are calling another. A PA. For example, let's say, right, there is one kind of a website actually. That may be in that application. You may create some kind of a ticket number, or you can able to create a request or something like that application, right? In that application, when you are creating a request, right, it will redirect to another application actually. In that case, another application will ask for a token actually. In that case, right, they don't need to do the authentication again, but they cannot use the same token which is going back to the other application. Actually, they will be using, it's just a simple API actually. When they are redirecting to another application, right? From one, for example, let's say you are raising a request in one portal. It is going to the service manager or ServiceNow, right? When they are redirecting to the ServiceNow or service manager, there is one API needs to be called actually. The read action, it won't happen normally. That read action can be done. When they are doing that read action, they will ask for a token actually. That token, you can also do the same thing. You can also call another client ID with the authentication code grant. That will also work. But it's a 3 API call you need to do actually. Instead, you can do only without authenticating the user, right? They can authenticate the application which is already generating the API actually. Because that application is already did the authentication for a user actually. That is why we are using the client credentials grant type actually. I will explain you one more scenario. That is one application. We are having it actually. That is using the authentication code grant type only in order to log in into the application. From that application, if the user requests for any kind of a group manager, it's like a kind of a group manager application. When they request for adding the user to the group, right? Anyone can able to. It's a self-service portal, actually. Anyone can able to request for an access action. Whenever they do right. You can log into the application and do the group request. If I go search for a group and then request access for myself. Actually, but there is another application connecting to the group manager also actually. From that application, what they will do, right? They will just, they don't need the group. And if I want to do the group means I need to provide the group name and then only I can able to request for access. Actually, then only it will work or else it won't work. Actually, right? Because I need to know the group name. But there are some people who does not know the group name, right? For that kind of, they are having another portal actually, like application specific. For example, there is one application. There is one application. The LDAP team will have the group details actually right. But the application, if I want to have access to that application means I will be raising the access to the application only. Not the a group. Because I don't know the group name right. But I know the application. I will search for that application and then request access. Actually, when they are requesting, it will go. The request will go to the group manager. Actually, that one, it is connecting to the group manager, right? That API, there is an API to connect to the group manager. That API, I will ask for the client credentials grant type actually. That is why. That kind of a like API. That API, I will connect to the group manager. That the group, the request will place on the group manager automatically for the whatever the group they are requesting. It actually. In that API connecting from request manager to the group manager. That is known as T. That can be done by using the client credentials grant type. Actually, now the next one. Now you understood the client credentials flow, right? Now the next one is ROPC, grant type actually. That is known as the resource owner password. Credential grant type. The resource owner password credential grant type is nothing but in short form. The client credential. In short form, we are calling this as a CC. That is known as the client credential grant type. Here ROPC is nothing but resource owner password credential grant type. The resource owner password credential grant type is nothing but what it will do, right? This is also like totally different from the auth code or like implicit even the client credentials also, right? That is also different from this one actually. Like is that there are like certain kind of application, maybe like some application they are asking till now who is throwing the login screen, who is like getting the username and password from the user actually. Which component actually? PingFederate is throwing the login screen to the user, right? What will happen actually? Like when they are throwing the login, I mean we are the one who is throwing the login screen basically. Now, but what if the application is asking, hey, PingFederate team, we don't need your login screen to be displayed. We will take care of the login screen. We will get the username and password from our side. And then what we will do? We will pass the username and password to you over the API. I call actually. That token worth to call, right? In that token worth to call. In that one what they are asking, right? Like application team. They will get the log. They will get the username and password from the user. That means they will manage the login screen. They can be able to use any login screen. We are not going to do anything like that actually. That is why, we don't care about the login screen or like how they are getting the username and password. But like the main concern for this IOPC, right? The thing is that they will pass the username and password in the API. I call actually that token word too, right? In the client ID client secret, and then the grant type is equal to or OPC. In that one, right, they are passing the username and password of a user. What is that grant type, right? That is passing the username and password for the password for a user in the API I call. If that API I call got hacked remains, what will happen actually? If 10 API I call got hacked, means it's 10 username and password, right? They will send the username and password in a plain text format also actually. That is why this RAW-PC method is considered as a least secured way of doing the what. We never ever use this one actually. If there is some kind of a legacy application like two old applications which does not support the login screen at all, right? Which they cannot support our login screen, which they cannot support their own login screen, some kind of a inbuilt login screen they are having. It means then we can able to we can able to take we can able to take decision, but we cannot directly do the RPC method actually. But we can able to take the concern and then get the proper approval and then do it actually. This is like the easiest way of doing the OAuth right. They should not. We should not use this one actually because they need. They will be passing the username and password in a in a normal plain text format in the API call actually. That will be even though that API call is in the back end actually, but still that's not a good way of doing the OAuth right. That is why we are considering the RAW-PC as at least a second way of doing the OAuth actually. Whenever the user is trying to access the application right, the application will throw the login screen to the user. Login screen or some kind of a way how they are inbuilt login screen like that. What they will do, they will get the username and password from them. Then the resource server will collect the username and password. It will create a token OAuth2 API call and include the client ID, client secret grant type, and also the username and password of a user in the request, and then send the request back to the PingFactory, the authentication server. Then the PingFactory will accept it and then it will authenticate the username and password. Then it will create the token and share the token to the application side actually. Then they can validate the token by using the access token validation or like come in userinfo.openid, that validation API call. Also they can able to use it. Now tell me here we are not going to use any kind of adapter policies and selectors. Actually, but policy contracts, nothing is there. But how we can able to authenticate the user, how we can able to validate the username and password actually, which is coming in the API by using the PCV. It's simple. Here we are going to use only the PCV, no adapters, no policies, no selectors, no policy contracts. Actually, only that. They are going to use the like a PCV actually. We are going to use the PCV. We will be configuring the PCV first time for the OAuth actually. Directly configuring the PCV to the OAuth. In SAML, we are not configuring the PCV directly, right? We are configuring the adapter only a policy contract, right? Here, the first time we are going to configure the PCV directly to the OAuth configuration. Even we can also configure the adapter on policy contract. That is for authorization code, grant type, and then the implicit. But for the RAW-PC, you are going to configure the PC because you know right. It's a resource owner password credential granted. The name suggests the same thing actually. For client credentials, you don't need to configure any adapter, policy contracts, policy selectors, PCV data store. Nothing is required. Only client ID, client secret. And then the like grant type is equal to client credential granted. That's all actually to create the token. Client credential is the easiest way to do to create the token. And then OPC is also easiest way with respect to the application side configuration. Actually, authorization code grant type is the more complex one. But that is the secured one to do the OAuth configuration actually. Now the next one is refresh token actually. Refresh token, we already saw it, but how the refresh token works, right? When you enable the refresh token, right? For authorization code grant type for OPC. I don't know, till now why OPC. They enable the refresh token and all. Refresh token will work only for the authentication code grant type and then the RAW-PC actually, but don't know the reason why our OPC is having the refresh token concept actually. What happens, right? When you enable the refresh token for authentication code grant type like that, I'm just telling you as the example. What happened, right? After successful authentication, the code will get generated, and by swapping the code, the token will get generated, right? During the access, token will get generated. There is one more token also will get generated if you enable the refresh token. That is known as the refresh token will get generated actually. That is in the second call for the authentication code grant type. There will be, once the refresh token got created, right? It will have an infinite number of the default time is. It does not have an expiration time actually. But if you are idle inside the application continuously for 30 days, means the refresh token will get expired. Actually, that is the default value for the refresh token. That is a grant type refresh token, right? What we can able to do. The application team can able to call the refresh token API actually. The same token dot worth to endpoint only, but the grant type is equal to refresh token, refresh underscore token. By using the refresh token, they can able to make a call. Hey, a PingFederate, I'm having the refresh token. Can you refresh the old token to generate the new token? What they will do, right? They will send the old token. Actually, sorry, they will use the refresh token to refresh the old token to the new token. For example, the old token is validating of 30 minutes means. They won't. They should not write after the 30 minutes. Actually, after the access token is expired means it won't work properly. They need to do it before that. When the token is good, right? The old token before that 30 minutes, right? They will be passing. They will call that API to generate the a old token to the new token actually. That means next 30 minutes it will get valid. Similarly, they can able to do it every 30 minutes means before. 30 minutes means it will keep on increasing without asking the username to type the username and password. Actually, right? Nowadays, these are all we are using it, right? You know that PBG mobile, right? The PUBG mobile is using the auth configuration only the same authentication code grant type. It's, if you once you installed it right. Now the application got banned. Actually, that's fine. But the next thing is that right. Before that, we are having that, the Clash of Clans or the Zoom meeting, right? Once you log in, right? It never logs out actually because the session will get keep on increasing actually unless you unless you forcefully are clicking on the logout button or you are inactive inside the application. Actually, only that case you will be logging out from the application. The Zoom meeting may be I don't know whether we will be discussing after 30 days actually. But maybe you can log in your mobile phone. Log in with the Zoom, right? And then stay active inside the application. Don't stay inactive inside the application for 30 days or something and then check the application. Actually, and then you can discuss how the application will be there actually. The Zoom meeting is the real-time example actually. Understood. That is the rest of the refresh token concept. Right. Now we have seen the authorization code grant type and then the implicit authorization code grant type with the PKC method and then the refresh token done. And then access token validation. PKC method is also done, right? Now we will see one more endpoint. Can you copy that your STPs :/ and then your hostname :92321. /. Well, I found now. I found Ovlin /openid-configuration. OpenID-configuration. Copy this. Put it there in the browser, please. Now, if you could see, right, these are the available endpoints for the OAuth in our PingFederate. Actually, here the issue is that is your host name, actually. And then like the authentication endpoint, and then the token endpoint to create the token, to refresh token, to validate the token, everything. You ask for the introspect, right? That is the introspect endpoint. And then the JBU case, right? That is the JSON web key store actually. That is also they can able to use actually to validate the token. For example, like once you issue the token, right? They can able to hit that particular URL to validate the token by using the Java key store. Actually, that is the Java web key store actually. You can able to use. If there is any kind of a key, if you are using it, put it there in the client ID and then application can able to validate by using this particular endpoint also. Actually, if they are using, if application can able to use any one of the key, right? Then they can able to validate the token by using any one of the key. Here I can able to see the different endpoints. We don't need the session management endpoint and all actually. Not. Those endpoints are not required. One is the most important endpoint, right? That is known as the authentication worth 2, token worth 2. And then the like a user in Fupanet actually. These are the 3 endpoints. We will be using it regularly for all the clients. And then the same thing, right? Like for example, in SAML, the single logout is like SLO SAML2, right? Here start LO ping actually. That is the only difference. We don't need to configure anything from our side actually for the single logout. They just have to return the token to this particular endpoint actually. Automatically the ping will log out. A federal will take care of the request actually. You don't need to configure anything from our side actually. The single logout perspective. This is just a normal endpoint which is available to stop the session. Actually, you know right. The ping end session endpoint actually. The session endpoint itself, the name right. It's a end session only. We don't need those kind of session URLs actually. We need if they ask for a single logout, right? Just you can share that endpoint actually. That's all. That is the one which we will be sharing the URL to them actually. Because it's not like a SAML actually. SAML means they will be raising. We saw that, right? In a Salesforce configuration, actually, they need to create a SAML single logout request. Then it will come to the PingFederal. Then PingFederal will log out it actually. That is what. And then in OAuth, right, generally, like how they can able to log out the configuration, right? It's like, for example, it's not easy to log out actually. That is why we will be using that is why they are using this force logout kind of an endpoint actually. Now what we are going to do here, if you could see right, and then the authentication.OAuth2, that's like request endpoint to token .OAuth2 can be used for multiple types, like to generate the token, to validate the token, to do the refresh token also actually. User info endpoint, right, can be used to validate the token based on the OpenID configuration. Actually, that is the OID. And then JBU case also. It's an alternative method one like to validate the token. Mostly they won't use it, but if they want, they can also use it. There is no configuration and all from our side. We don't need to do anything. Just take enable to use it actually. Now the next one and then the single logger. These are the endpoints, and if you scroll down a bit right, the code challenge method we were saying right. The code challenge methods. That is, the two methods are there. If they are using the code challenge method as short 256, right? They need to pass the S256 actually to encrypt the token and send it basically. The revocation endpoint to revoke the token. That means to stop the token actually. The token it won't be valid anymore actually. Basically, they don't require this stuff actually. Because like the first of all, there is no proper requirement to revoke the token, right? When they will be revoking the token, any idea actually? The application team. There is no use case, right? Basically. But there is an option in our site. If you want to use this API, right? The token will get revoked actually. It will stop the token. But you need to specifically enable one option in the access token. Actually, to enable this revoke token, but basically there is no use case available for the application team. You can able to do that. You just have to revoke the token and pass the token, and then automatically the token will get revoked. Actually, right. But like, what is the use case for this revocation of the token, right? Basically, because validation of a token good actually. The access token will be anyways. It will be expired in 30 minutes or 1 hour, right? But before that, is there any recommend to like stop the token services actually? No, right? There is a logout also they can able to do. Even if the application, the user will click on the logout button, right? Automatically the token will get expired actually. There is no use case to use that endpoint, but that endpoint is available actually. But generally that endpoint, it won't be available automatically. We need to enable it manually actually. That endpoint will be available here. But in the access token, you need to enable that option. Actually, I will show you that option. Don't worry on that one. Expired token means anyways, the PingFederate itself, they will be rejecting the request, right? For example, let's say, right, if they are sending the expired token to validate in the token watch to our user in Fupinet, right, it won't accept it actually. It will reject the request itself actually. We will see that when we will just try to pass the expired token actually and then see the response. It will throw an error. Like access token validation, we are having it. And then user info PINID, we are having it right. Both of the calls will reject that request actually, because the PingFederate will reject the expired token, because both of them will have the expiration time actually. When it is going to expire. If it is expired, then automatically both of the endpoints will reject it. User in Fupinet, it will give 41 error. And then token endpoint, that is token watch to access token validation, right? It will be sending the token is expired, kind of an error. If you are passing the wrong token, both of them will work. It won't work actually. Invalid token or 41 error, it will throw actually. That is the case. If you need to pass the correct token, then only it will work. If you are passing the expired or wrong token, which both of the A, P, I, it won't work actually. Even the refresh token, call right. You need to pass the exact refresh token actually. If you are passing the wrong refresh token, it won't work actually. Or even expired refresh token. expired refresh token, basically, automatically the application will get logged out. But still, if you are passing the expired refresh token also, it won't work actually. And then even for the access token validation also, client security is good, actually good to have it. Because that is also a little bit secure, right? That's why we can put, the access token validation. It's like, we can say it's only for validating the token actually. You can create a separate client ID and put the access token validation as a grant type also actually, that we can able to use the client ID to validate the token for other client ID actually. That is also we can able to do it actually under different client ID. I have created nearly 1300 client credentials grant type actually because single group manager only. But multiple applications are connecting to that actually. Because it's like we don't have the count actually for the past 4 years, right? Like I am creating like lots of client credentials. I am creating like lots of the, what configuration itself nearly to 2400 to 2600. Like totally 5-600 application I mentioned, right? Previously in the last call also. Like previous calls also. I mentioned, right? In that worth nearly 2000, like 600, 400 to 600 actually. In that client credentials is also high. Authorization code grant type only. Everything is authorization code grant. Nowadays I'm just changing. I'm not including the implicit. I'm also counting the implicit also with the authorization code grant type only. Like here, client credentials, like periodically, we will be enabling it actually. Because of the only one application from our site, it's not like multiple application. It's the same thing, same configuration. Same kind of a client credentials. Only the secret and client ID will get changed. Just like I'm just creating, like every day, also I'm creating the client credentials actually. Even today also, right? Like 2 to 3 hours before also, I have created one client ID for the client credentials. The same use case only. Everyone, because it's that portal, right? That portal is team major one actually. Like adding the user to the group, right? And that's a huge configuration actually. That's that kind of a self-service portal. I don't know if it will be available in every applications or not actually. That's why I like to enable the security and all this kind of a client credential granted. And we are using it actually. We directly, we can able to. I won't even schedule the call and all actually directly. Once I see the request, I will just directly create the client credentials and then send it to. I will send the token work to it and then client any client. That's all actually. It will take like one maximum of 10 minutes to do everything. Actually, that's all. We can able to understand, right? With if you're working in a single project for 4 years means. Anyone, like you can able to understand what end to end. You can able to know which application team you are reaching to. Even application team also can know you actually. Because everyone recognizes the PingFederate team and alright. We are also using the Ping directory and other stuff, right? It's like our team is like famous to famous with everyone actually, because if there is any issue, right? They will reach out to us first only. That is what actually. But anyways, these are all these things will happen in every organization actually. If you are working in PingFederate, right? If there is any kind of application is not working, which everyone will reach out to the PingFederate team. SSO is not working actually. You might have also not only for the PingFederate, I'm saying even if you're using any other SSO tools, actually, or CSI Minder, any SSO tools if you're using. If the application is not working, SSO is not working, they will reach out to you only. There is a separate team here in my organization who is handling the support actually. I'm leading the both of them actually. I'm also leading the support team and as well as the development, and everything will be in the same part actually. Support team and all, they will be taking care of the user issues and alright. They will be getting a lot of. If the system is stable, you won't get any issues actually. P1 issues. You won't be getting it periodically, but there are some other P1 also, they will try to burden you actually. This kind of things will happen actually. One issue, maybe I can able to explain actually. That is one kind of there is one OAuth application actually. Objection coded grant type only. Suddenly out of the blue, they said it's not working actually. They said, they just go with, they will just go aggressive actually. And then they are saying it's a no. OAuth is not working. PingFederate is not working. SSI is not working. You need to check it and all actually. Please check your services. Please check your servers. They will order you actually. What I did right. Sim. Just open the browser, try to access the application. Open the SAML tracer actually. That's all I asked actually. And then I asked them to share it. I saw the SAML tracer. There is no addition request comes to our services. I directly said this is not our issue because there is no request reaching out to our server. Actually, it's we need to be a lot of people, right? They will force you actually. They will force you that. This is our issue. We need to check. We need to spend time on it actually. We don't need to spend any time. We just have to be because your system is stable means nothing will come. But unless you be made a human mistake and all actually. But if you made any mistake means that's all actually. That is our issue. But unless if you are not doing any kind of a mistake, right? Then it's not an issue from our side actually. That is what the PingFederal. That is nothing much to PingFederal to troubleshoot issues and all actually. Only thing is that if any application reporting an issue to you, right? Just ask the application URL. If there is a global outage, also if they are saying it actually, just log into the console. If they are saying the PingFederal is not working, just log into the console. Get any SAML application. Try to hit the IDP URL. If it is, authentication is working fine. SAML response is generated. That's all actually. Mostly 99% it won't be. It won't be our issue actually. And then if you get the application URL, just search for it. And then access it by yourself. See the request. See the SAML response. What it is properly coming out and going out actually. And then check the logs. Or the server log. Let's check it one by one. Don't get panic and all. Just check everything for the. Maybe you can check for 1 day or something, right? Audit logs will be 24 hours, right? Check for that 1 day actually. Search with your entity ID and then see that. If there is any kind of a continuously, if you are seeing the success, then that is not our issue actually. And then ask them. This is ask them to try to get the screenshot later. Actually, screenshot at all. It's like last part actually. And then if you are getting the, you can able to understand once you get the screenshot itself. Errors itself actually. If it is throwing the error on the application page, mostly 99% is not our issue only. The major thing is that audit log server log. If you didn't get any URL, simply they are saying ping for it. Not working means log in to the console. Try to hit any one same connection actually. And then log in to your server. Check the CPU utilization and all actually. Service is running or not actually. If it is, everything is it looks good, right? Then there is no. Mostly if there is an issue with the ping for it, you can able to see it in the console itself actually. Like if you try to open the console and then try to hit any URL, right? You can able to get the issue from there itself. Actually, it won't happen like apart from that level. If it is console is also working means, just go to that server and then check all the services running or not. Actually, for example, go to the machine. Check the services ping for it is running or not. And then check your CPU utilization. Why if the service is hung up, right? For example, even I'm receiving this kind of issue actually regularly. Sometimes, right? The service might be hung up actually because of the CPU utilization. Sometimes it will go beyond 95 to 96%, means the service will hung up actually. It won't respond. You need to restart the service. It won't happen for all the servers at the same time. But it will happen like one server or two server or any one of the server actually. It will happen definitely on the weekend actually. Because I have tried lots of time actually. Because once in a month, right? Regularly, I will be getting this CPU utilization hung up. The service won't run actually. This is a normal issue, guys, actually. I am saying. This is a server CPU utilization, right? Most of the time, you will be getting it actually. In order to overcome this one, right? Please try to maximize your RAM size and then the disk space actually. Maximum, just delete your log files actually. Delete your. Don't keep the log files long times actually. Just keep only 30 days actually. Don't keep it like 40 days or 60 days or 90 days, right? I will regularly delete your. I will tell you actually. This we will discuss it after completing the ORD. Actually, how we can able to manage the service. This kind of a CPU utilization. The process hung up, right? And then the continuous the RAM size. How we can able to get the approval and increase the RAM size and all. How we can able to maintain your disk space and all, right. The memory consumption, right. We will discuss it more in an elaborate manner. It's already there in our training itself actually. How we can able to manage your servers actually. Managing the service is one of the. If you have this knowledge, right. Even in interview also, they will ask if you have this knowledge, right. It will be like a good. It will be like it will. You will have an extra 1 point for the, in the interview actually. Like you will be differentiate from others actually. Because not all the people who will maintain this kind of stuffs in any PingFederated working people, right. The PingFederated experienced people, right. Not all the people who will have this kind of a knowledge. Actually, we can see that. I will tell you my scenario. Actually, process. You can also follow the same thing actually. For example, let's say, right, deleting the log file size logs, right. I will be deleting like every month actually. Every month means. That means 30 days logs. I will keep only 30 days logs. I won't keep more than that one. If it is going one day larger, if I forgot sometimes, right, it will keep on 10 days later or something. If it is 40 log means I will delete the 10 logs. Actually, that 30 days is enough actually. We don't require much. And then delete the transaction logs and all actually. Those log files and all it will be like it will be bulk actually. I mean, if it is, I am saying lot of transaction happening in your organization. That means lot of users are trying to access the application, right? The transaction logs, the size, the file size, right? It will keep on increasing. And then there are two log size. Actually, request.log, request to .log. These two logs also. You can able to delete it actually. One for admin console, one for engine actually. Try to delete the request.log also. We don't require these logs. Because these are all it will becomes under like 300 MB file or 500 MB per day log. I am saying actually, per day logs 500 MB to like 300 MB to 500 MB file means what will happen actually, right? Transaction logs also the same thing actually, audit.log and all. Server.log. We cannot delete it. Keep it like that, is it as it is. The most important thing, you can delete the transaction.logs and then the request.logs. Actually, we don't require this. Maybe you can put keep only 10 days, delete other stuff actually. This is one of the way you can able to manage the disk space actually. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.